All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining right at the top of the hour here. We're going to get started now that we've got people starting to roll in. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've been super excited for this webinar for a few weeks now because one, I'm joined by two really great people with tons of real world experience. And also, what we're talking about today has immediate practical takeaways for the work that you're doing day in and day out. And so, what we're going to get into today, the meat of what we're talking about, is really going to focus on these four automation workflows that can actually help you save time and even some, maybe more importantly, how those time savings and automation directly impacts your client satisfaction as well. We're going to talk through some real world scenarios where these workflows are applicable and also jump into the platform to show you what that actually looks like in the technology. All right, so my name is Kara Hendrix. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at Trackforce, or your MC for today's webinar. And I'm joined by Tony Dozier and Robert Lawrence. Tony, do you want to start? Give just like a real quick intro about yourself?
Sure, I would love to. Thanks, Kara. Well, I'm Tony Dozier, as she mentioned. I'm Senior Director of Solutions Consulting. Been in the industry, security industry, 30 plus years. I've worked with security companies, security integrators, manufacturers of security hardware and software, and also worked for as a security consultant. So been an industry that I've been in for a long time, and I enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to today to discuss this with you guys.
Fantastic. And Robert, what about you?
Sure, thanks, Kara. So I'm Robert Lawrence. I'm part of the solution consulting team here at TrackTik. I've been with the company for just under 7 years, so a lot of experience, talking with our clients, understanding their pain points and challenges, and ultimately figuring out how our solution can be a good fit for them.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, we've got the expertise on the platform side. We've got expertise and experience on the security guarding side. So let's jump in. Actually, before we get into some of our content, just like a quick reminder, we will be doing some demonstrations and slides, but we will leave plenty of time for questions at the end. So if you do have a question, use the Q&A panel in Zoom to submit your question, and we'll be looking through those and answering as many as we can at the end of what we have planned for you today. All right, let's jump in. All right, so first, I just want to quickly set the stage, current state of the state. The reason we're all here today is because likely your market of contract security is growing because clients are demanding and willing to pay more for probably security providers who are offering technology integration and a up-leveled view of transparency. I'm sure you have your enterprise clients who are starting to build or think about building their physical security operations centers and expecting you to integrate with that. And those large security firms out there are already investing heavily in a lot of these technology platforms. So whether you're big, small, somewhere in between, the question for you isn't whether your clients are going to start expecting more, it's how quickly you can move and adapt to some of these changing expectations. Because at the end of the day, automation isn't just about you and your time savings and your ability to get your work done faster. It's about delivering the highest quality service possible. It's about ensuring client satisfaction. Because only a few years ago, we'll send you a report by end of the week was an acceptable response. And today, clients are expecting real-time visibility. documented records for compliance and history, and as well as self-service access to all of their data. But the problem with that is, as I'm sure many of you have seen, if your guards are using manual processes anywhere along the way, paper checklists, email handoffs, you can't deliver that level of transparency that your clients are starting to expect. You end up spending hours manually compiling reports, and your clients still don't get that real-time visibility. So that's where automation comes in clearly. When your patrol completions, incidents, scheduling are all happening and documented in real time in a system, your clients can see exactly what they need, when they need it, and you have proof of the value of service that you're providing, as well as that historical record for compliance, audits, whatever you need. All right. So before I pass it over to Tony and Robert, I really want to hear from the audience. We have a quick poll for you. Be honest, you know, which one of these workflow areas would you say your team is experiencing the most manual work? So what is taking you the most time? Which process are you using pencil and paper still? Which one is really bogging you down with that manual work? And I'll give everyone a couple more seconds to answer, and then we will take a peek at the results. All right, so take another second to answer. And all right, let's close the poll and see what everyone said here and share those results. All right. Are we able to close the poll and share those results? It might be stuck. Zoom might be having a little moment here. So when that comes up, we'll take a look at the poll results and share that with everybody for sure. But the point of all this, I love getting some engagement from the audience here. And either way, we're going to touch on all of these automation workflows today. Scheduling, patrols and incidents, billing, dashboards, all of this we're going to be able to see in the platform and talk through those scenarios. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass it over to Tony to get us started in some of these scenarios, and then Robert's going to get into the platform and show us what this looks like.
All right. Thanks, Kara. First of all, I want to say thank you for everyone that took the time out of your busy day to join us for our webinar. I'm going to try to keep my stories to a minimal so we can concentrate on our solution, which is actually the star of the show. So as she said earlier, we've got 4 real-world examples from moving from manual process to an automated one. So I'm going to start out with a scenario and I'm let you guys stuck here. It's 5 p.m. and your largest client calls with a last-minute request for additional coverage at 2 locations due to a special event. So your operation manager would typically spend like 2 to 3 hours manually checking guard availability, looking for the qualifications, certification, and previous assignments to find solutions. Through an automated process, it takes minutes. The system instantly identifies qualified, available guards, suggests assignments, and even handles compliance requirements like certifications. And one big one, this client site requirements automatically. So it's tough for operation managers when we get an unexpected gap in coverage or a guard calls off sick. And it's also tough when managers have to manually reschedule across multiple clients with different compliance requirements and with the lack of availability. This is all time consuming and error prone. And one of the biggest things. Overtime costs can spiral if you can't improve the coverage in real time. So what we're going to do is have Robert here is going to show you how our solution will automate this process for you. Take it over, Robert.
Thanks, Tony. Let me just share my screen and let's take a look at what we can do in TrackTik for that. All right, so as Tony mentioned, you receive a call at 5 p.m. For a last minute additional coverage at one of your clients, right? So time is of the essence. And with TrackTik, it's really easy to both schedule in that additional time and then find the appropriate resources to fill the shift. So I'm looking here at my live schedule in TrackTik. So these are all of my different shifts I have across all my different sites. And really, it's pretty straightforward. I would just go to my site that needs the additional coverage. I click on this little plus sign here. That's going to open up a window which allows me to create new shifts. So I would just input the details as per the coverage that the client requested. I can even create more than one shift. So I can create multiple shifts at once if I need to. So let's say I want to create 2 new shifts. I want to have it be 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., let's say. And then after I fill that in, I click save, and immediately those 2 new shifts, they've been plopped onto the schedule. Then in terms of populating those shifts with the resources that are going to work them, it's also a really easy, straightforward process. By using TrackTik's replace feature, I can actually use different criterias to basically provide me with a short list of people that are best suited to work that post that I'm trying to fill. So depending on the different criteria that I have selected here, it's going to give me a list of appropriate employees. And then what I can do is I can use TrackTik's offer by SMS functionality. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow the system to automatically send an SMS or a text message to those individuals to let them know that there's a shift on offer. If they respond back to that text message, say, yes, I want to take it, the system will automatically put them into that shift. You know, you as the administrator, you don't have to go out calling different people and figuring out who can work it. You can just leverage these features and take care of that scenario in just a few minutes. Back to you, Tony.
Well, thanks, Robert. So there's a huge benefit in reducing schedule time by hours, minimizing your coverage gaps and controlling your overtime costs. So it's really important. And so I'm hoping a lot of you are already moved here into the automation, but if you're not, I think this webinar is going to help you say, okay, this is something I need to move forward with. So here's some feedback we received from a client who moved to this type of automation. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm just going to kind of summarize it. And they said, since adopting our solution, their schedule time is down 40%. Manual recording has been reduced, and teams now operate more efficiently with real-time visibility into their client operations. There we go. So repeated incidents risk your credibility. These are tough. And this does happen a lot, and not having a way to see into this with automation is a big problem. So let me set a scenario for you in this one. You've got a warehouse with a recurring problem of unauthorized dumping behind the building that happens every 3 to 4 weeks, okay? Your guards report it, management cleans it up, and a few weeks later it happens again. So without visibility into the pattern, your team keeps responding to the same problem reactively. The client is frustrated, it's getting upset with you guys, right? Your guards are feeling like they're chasing your tails. The problem is these individual incident reports are sitting in different places. Some are with the guard's notes, which he has on him personally. Some are in an email, some are in a spreadsheet. So no one is seeing the pattern. But by automating incident logging, every unauthorized dumping report goes into a single system with the location, the date, the time, and faults. So now your operations manager runs reports, sees unauthorized dumping, northeast corner between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., always on a Thursday and Saturdays. So that's actionable intelligence now that you have that you didn't have before. So you shift your patrol to focus on those times, maybe add some lighting to the area, suggest a security camera to cover the dumpsters, and the problem gets solved instead of being recycled like it has been. So clients will notice, right, when the same problem keeps happening. It signals to them the security isn't working. And security leaders know that their team is wasting effort on reactive response instead of a strategic prevention because they just keep sending their people out, sending them out to be reactive to this situation. And you lose credibility when you can't show data. You demonstrate your lack in ability to control the situation. And you don't want to do that, right? You want to make sure that we're being proactive. And customers, they look at this, they take this seriously. They want to make sure that things taken care of right at that time, real time. So Robert's going to show you how our solution will automate this process for you. Take it over, Robert.
Perfect. So within TrackTik, as Tony mentioned, your staff are doing all of their daily activities, all of their reports in a single system, single source of truth. And where that shows in TrackTik is what we call our analytics features. So what I have here on the screen is what we call our incident analytics dashboard. And this is being populated in real time by all of the different incidents and activities that are being recorded across the system. You can filter it in on a particular account. You have a bunch of different filters and criteria that you can use. If I want to focus on a particular date range, for example, I can do that. And based on the different criterias that I input in here, the dashboard's going to update. So it allows me to slice and dice the data and really kind of understand what's happening at my different sites. So I just updated the status here, or the filter here, to be my incident versus day of the week. And if I take a look right here, I can see, for example, that Thursdays, I seem to have a spike in incidents. Whereas if I look at, say, Monday or Wednesday, those days don't have as many incidents reported. So this is actually actionable, insightful data that I can use to make operational or staffing decisions. So like Tony mentioned, maybe this would be something that I can use in a conversation with my client, that I need to add an additional shift on Thursdays, maybe on Tuesday. Maybe I can reduce the number of tours that I'm completing on Mondays because it's not as incident heavy. So I'm using the data that's being generated within TrackTik to produce those actionable insights and takeaways that I can use to impact and optimize my operations.
Okay, thanks, Robert. So
Yeah.
converting isolated incident reports into trend analysis is very important and gives your client some serious insight on what's going on. Making proactive adjustments to your patrol strategy, your staffing, and client communication instead of the endless reactive responses to the same reoccurring issues. So it just ups your game to your clients. So here on the screen now is some more feedback we received from a client who moved to this particular automation. So I'm going to summarize it. The client says he can analyze incident trends faster and has driven 25% reduction in repeated incidents. Our client portal has increased the visibility into their business with more transparency, confidence, and trust in our service. All right. So when I looked at the poll, I think this was the #1 that I saw checked on there. And it's the most tedious time, month end, quarter end, year end, where your accounting and your finance teams about pulling their hair out, especially if you have a manual process. So this is one, to me, I think is the most important in the way I look at it, because sometimes I felt like I was handcuffed, that I couldn't help my accounting team and finance team enough, and those guys, and they're usually spending a lot of overtime during this time of the month or time of the quarter or year. So let me paint a scenario for you here. It's a month in, and your operation team is drowning in spreadsheets. Your guards have logged their hours, but they need to be reconciled against the billable time, PTO, overtime rates, and everything must match the invoices going out, which is important. So small errors can escalate quickly. Guards can get paid incorrectly. Clients can test invoices, and revenue recognition gets delayed. With using our billing and payroll automated solution, guards automatically flow into the timesheets to the invoices with full validation. Overtime rates are applied correctly, PTO is factored in, and all discrepancies are flagged, and accurate invoices go out automatically. So a lot of companies, right, security companies are operating on thin margins. So billing accuracy directly impacts cash flow, which is very important. And manual invoice reconciliation against timesheets is error prone and very time consuming. So payroll discrepancies and disputed invoices lead to client conflict and delayed revenue. So Robert is going to show us how the solution we have will automate this process to you and save you some headaches.
Thanks, Tony. So let me show you how our solution can help with this. So right now I'm looking at the time approval page in TrackTik, because like what Tony mentioned, people are, they're clocking in, they're clocking out of the app, completing their shifts. That's going to translate into timesheet entries, which is what you're seeing here on the page. So this allows the administrators, supervisory team, they can review all of those timesheet entries, make sure everything is recorded as per the reality. So it's going to give you information based your scheduled times versus your actual clock times. I can see information related to my pay as well as my bill rates. It'll let me know if I have any holiday hours or overtime. But ultimately what I'm going to do is I'm going to review these time entries and approve that time. And as soon as I approve that time, it's then going to flow automatically into the pay run as well as the invoicing or billing pieces of TrackTik. So to show you what that looks like, I'm going to go into my billing module. And basically with TrackTik, you're able to streamline the process of generating your invoices. So you can actually create batches of invoices, which based off of, different criterias, period start, period end, etc. It'll take all of those timesheet entries that occur within that period and bundle them up into a batch. And just with a few clicks, you're able to generate the invoices within that batch. So if I go over here, this is showing all of those 42 invoices that I created in that batch. I didn't have to create each invoice individually. The system is just gathering all that information that was approved upstream and producing my final invoice. And why don't we open one up here and just take a quick peek at what that looks like. So it's going to generate invoices for each of my clients. It's going to correctly report, the period, the different bill items that I've set up for that client for the services that I'm offering, and then accurately report the totals, the quantity of those bill items, the line items, and you can even configure it to have a full breakdown, so your clients can have a real granular view of the specific timesheet entries that are contributing to that invoice. So again, big time save. The system is automatically generating a lot of that. It just needs to flow through those approval steps, and you're good to go.
Okay, thanks, Robert. I love this part because the automation eliminates billing errors. It accelerates our cash flow. It reduces payroll disputes. And the biggest thing for me, for my teams, was it frees the finance team from the manual process, which I told you was kind of grueling for a lot of my workers in my past. So here we have some feedback from another client who moved to this type of automation. And to summarize, it says our solution has cut roughly 12 hours per month on mobile patrol invoicing while delivering visibility throughout the guard touring, detailed reports, and daily summaries. And actually, this has become a key selling point for a lot of new clients for us with this. Okay, moving on to our last scenario. So, reacting to clients' metric requests. We all know that at any given time, our client pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I need this, I need that." And here's a great scenario for you. Your largest client's operation manager calls and asking for last week's cover summary, incident reports, and performance metrics. Your team either scrambles to manually compile spreadsheets, or they tell the client, "Hey, I'll get back to you in 24 hours. Our solution has an automated dashboard with client reporting. Your operations manager just logs into the client portal. All the KPIs are there. They're in real time. The coverage hours, incidents, response times, compliance status, and then we can even configure automated reports to go to the client weekly. So this takes you from being reactive to proactive. And it gives your clients confidence that you're managing their security intelligently. And that's a very point. So it makes you look good. And then it solves a lot of issues for them. So we already know the clients constantly ask, what happened last week? Or how many hours did you cover? Requiring what? A manual report. Operations teams spend time manually pulling data from multiple systems just to create this report for the client. And the client, they expect real-time visibility into their business operations. And we don't blame it because that's where we are now with automation. So Robert is going to show you how our solution will automate this process.
All right, let's take a look at that. All right. So, like Tony mentioned, clients they're expecting up to the minute, accurate information, and they want it as soon as possible. So, TrackTik does have a couple different solutions or features that you can use to help meet that goal. So, the first one I'll mention is what we call our client portal access. So, what this allows you to do in TrackTik is you are able to create user accounts for your clients, and they're able to log into the portal in order to see information specific to their site that their account is created under. So in my screen here, I've set up a user, Sam Downs. When he logs into the TrackTik portal, he's only going to have access to information related to his site, Costco Wholesale. And I can actually tailor this user access. I can set up as many different users as I want, and I can assign them to, totally customizable permission and role groups. If I want to define specific pieces of information that they do or do not have access to see. So that's one way that you can offload a lot of having to send information to your clients. Just give them access to their own dedicated portal and let them check it whenever they want to. That can also be an additional revenue stream for you. Client portal access is a core feature. It's included in all of our TrackTik solutions. And it's free to use and share with your clients. So something to consider. The second feature that I'll show you that Tony mentioned was our automated notifications in TrackTik. So as reports and different activities are being completed within TrackTik, it's automatically generating reports, different summary reports. So what you can do is you can actually set up notification rules to receive either an email or an SMS alert outside of the system. The system will automatically send that out to you when certain reports or conditions are met. So I have up here on the screen my individual reports. Maybe I have a client that wants to receive a notification every time one of my staff creates a maintenance report, for example. You can set that up, define the email or the phone number that notification needs to go to. And then every time a maintenance report gets generated in TrackTik, the system will automatically push that information out to the recipient that you've specified. And that can also be configured for your summary reports, daily shift reports. You can have it set up to receive a weekly report that, gives them all the information for the activities that were occurring during that week at their site. So a couple different options that you can use to really help alleviate having to get information from point A to point B with your clients.
All right. Well, thanks, Robert. I really love this automation. It really strengthens your client relationships through transparency. You're being very transparent with them, right? It reduces manual reporting and enables data-driven conversations about performance and the value with real-time visibility. And that is important. So this is the last feedback we got from one of our clients that uses this automation. It's automated reporting and GPS verified patrols reduce missed checks by 90%. That's huge. This is a cut response time from hours to minutes and elevated professionalism through the greater transparency with their client. And of course it would. So before I hand it back over to Kara, I would say, if you guys are still using the manual process with the spreadsheets or the smart sheets, I know I've been there. I was the guy who was the holder of the spreadsheet. And if anything happens or something formula gets changed, usually the person who's the owner of the spreadsheet is the one who has to fix it if he's not around, and then you're waiting for that. Or if you move on to smart sheets, which I did. So I love automation. My background is more technical. So I think it's going to be a plus for anyone that moves from that spreadsheet over to the automated systems, and your client's going to love you for it. It's going to make it easier on your team, and it actually helps you with your guarding your officers to help retain them. Because if you can make their job easier, they'll love what they're doing and they will want to stay. So with that, I will send it back to Kara.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. That was super helpful. I love to I love any opportunity to get into the platform and really show how this is working. We have a number of questions that we'll get to, but first, I want to just do a quick plug. After this webinar, all attendees are going to get a copy of our new automation guide. So, in addition to some of the points that we covered today, this is also going to go a little bit more deeply into the impact, the business case of some of these automation workflows. So if you're building a case to change a way that you're doing something at your company, this is a great supporting tool or reference guide for you to leverage. And then also, if you're going to be at any upcoming industry events, please stop by. Please say hello. We'd love to meet with you, chat with you, have a meeting. We usually have a lot of Trackforce employees and TrackTik product experts there. So come see us, whether you're in Europe or we're going to be at ISC West in Las Vegas in March. And so come say hi. And then now we have a number of questions. So put in your questions now if you have them. Robert, I think a lot of these are going to be for you. So I'm going to start at the top here and work our way through. One question, it looks like it was kind of partially answered. You may have touched on this with notifications. How do I identify employees not completing tours or reports in TrackTik?
Yeah, so that does one way is you can use those notifications. So you can set up notifications to receive anytime there's an incomplete or a missed tour. So you don't have to log in order to get that information. Like we looked at in my example, you can receive like an email or an SMS anytime that occurs. There are a couple other places in TrackTik, like on the main dashboard when you first log in. You can look at all of the tours that are scheduled for the day, and it's also going to indicate to you if there are any if there were any missed incomplete tours right there on the main dashboard too. So whether you're logged in or whether you're outside of the system, there's ways to get that information to you.
Perfect. Another one around reporting. We had some questions about kind of the reporting flexibility in creating reports. What is that? What is the difference between like the operation reports versus upgrading to our data lab product? Um, like, where's that line that you would cross where it's like the upgrade to data lab makes more sense?
So Data Lab, it's I would say that well, the reason why one would get Data Lab is because you want to be able to create your own custom dashboards. So when we were looking at that incident analytics dashboard in my demonstration earlier, that is a default report. It's available in TrackTik for all of our clients. If you are an organization that has your own very specific or particular data dashboard needs, maybe there's some information that wasn't included on that analytics dashboard, for example. That's when I would recommend looking into Data Lab, because you're going to have full access to all of the different data endpoints that are within TrackTik. And it gives you the ability to, like I said, create those dashboards, add your own custom widgets, pie charts, graphs, counters, you name it. So it really lets you to kind of take the data that's being generated in TrackTik and produce the output, the report, the dashboard that you're looking for.
Perfect. That was helpful. All right, let's keep going. We have a lot of questions. Let's see. Someone was asking about how do they view overtime? Can they see it on the timesheet or where is that located?
Yeah, so you have a couple different places that you can see it. Why don't I I'll share my screen and
You want
I'll
to share
show
your
you.
screen? Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So, like I said, there's a few different places that overtime is going to show up in TrackTik. So if I'm looking here at my live schedule, which we saw earlier, if I can easily focus on the shifts that have overtime accruing just by clicking the has overtime filter here. So I click that, the schedule is going to update and only show me those shifts that have overtime as part of them. That's one way that you can look at it. But maybe you want to see it like at the time approval stage, for example. So when you open up the time approval, you're going to have information here that will let you know if a shift had overtime or not. So if I open up the actual shift, it gives you the breakdown of all of the hours that are part of that shift. And this is also where you're going to be able to see if that shift had overtime as part of it or not. Then the last part would be, I would say, after the approval stage. So for instance, when you're running payroll, if I open up one of my payroll runs here, I can see right up at the top on the summary the number of overtime hours right here. And then down here, if I look further down into the summary, it'll actually give me a breakdown by employee. So any employee that would generate overtime hours, those hours would be noted in the overtime column here. So depending on where in that process you are, there's multiple areas within the system that will give you that information.
Perfect. The next question is about notifications for non-billed work that was performed. Is there a way to track that or see that?
For non-billed work?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, I mean, so in TrackTik, you need to use you have to have you have to set up a contract in TrackTik in order
Mm-hmm.
to bill for any work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the short answer is you can definitely set up different positions within TrackTik that are non-billable posts,
Yeah,
and and then everything that we showed you in terms of the notifications and everything that would apply. So they're kind of two separate systems. So whether or not it's a billable or non-billable post, you're still able to have full access to those notification settings on them.
perfect. Okay, that's super helpful. And then we have a question about reports being sent to email addresses. So can the
Mhm.
reports be sent to the same email address over multiple sites?
Yeah, of course. Because each site that you create in TrackTik, you set up site contacts underneath that
Mm-hmm.
site. So if you have a shared email address across multiple sites, you would just have to set them up as contacts in each of the site, and then yeah, certainly you'd be able to send notifications to that email from all the sites.
Perfect. Um, all right. Sorry, I'm looking through the questions. Some are similar, some are different. We have a question about is there an integration for QuickBooks Online?
Yep, we
Is
do
that
have
a thing?
a
I thought so.
partner integration for QuickBooks Online. Yes, so
Yeah.
that's basically what it is in a nutshell is when you generate that billing info, so the invoice data that we looked at. Once you approve it within the system, that's the trigger for that data to then flow over into QuickBooks Online. It runs on a daily sync. So you schedule the time that you want the data to sync over, and then every day it'll flow over based on the approval status on the invoices.
Perfect. Um, we've gotten a handful of questions about, I think earlier in one of your walkthroughs, you talked about SMS notifications. We've had a handful of questions about costs associated with SMS notifications. I believe there is a small cost per SMS, but could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so there is a small cost for that. I don't know it's like a few cents, like
Yeah,
let's say like
yeah,
2 to 4 cents, something like that per text message.
yes,
But yeah,
perfect. That's what I thought as well. Um, They're asking about changing schedules on the iPhone app, or on a mobile device if you're not on your computer.
Changing schedules on the mobile
Hmm.
device.
Yeah, not sure.
So in order making changes to the schedule, like creating shifts, adding people, or changing things, that is exclusively something that's done in the admin portal. So
Yeah.
it's not possible to do that on the mobile devices. The mobile devices are really, I mean, you're able to see your schedule on the mobile app, right?
Hmm.
Um, but in terms of actually making changes, shift changes, or adding, removing shifts, that needs to be done on the admin portal. Um, which I showed you guys in my demonstration.
Perfect. Um, all right, we have a question. We have time for a couple more questions. I don't know if we're gonna make it to get to all of them, but one question around, okay, says, as far as I can tell, the only place we can see availabilities at any time when we're using the replace feature, but is there a better way to see those availabilities? Is there a different way to kind of see availabilities on the schedule?
Um,
What is the best way
when
to
you're,
see that?
yeah, if I'm understanding the question correctly, like you are able to see them as well when you are creating the schedules. So if I go, give me 1 second. If I go into one of my sites, here, let me try
And you're
this
not
way.
sharing your screen. So if you want to
Oh,
show,
I'm not. Oh,
nope,
oops.
that's okay.
Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to go to one of my sites. I'm going to open up the schedules because typically when you're creating your schedules, posting new schedules, you're going to be doing it at the site level, right? So wait for that to load. Sorry, my internet's a little bit sluggish.
We might need to add the Jeopardy music for this right now.
Yeah, right.
I think so.
What I wanted to show you, and I'm hoping it'll, there we go. There we go. So when you're designing the schedule, right? So this is the screen that you're going to be using to build your schedules and adjust them week over week. Whereas what I showed you in my demonstration was more for those on the fly, kind of last minute scenarios. But when you're building out the schedules here, this is also where you're able to see like availability and how much time employees have already worked and whatnot. So if I go to, for example, if I select this vacant shift right here on Sunday the 31st, I highlight that, and the system is going to basically provide me, similar to what we saw in the shift replacement, it's going to provide me with a list of users that are best suited to work that shift. So it'll take into consideration their total hours, so their current availability. It'll also filter out like if there's any requirements that the employee needs to have in order to work that shift. So as you can see here, I have a breakdown of different users. It's showing me what their current, so how many hours they currently have on the schedule, how much their current earnings are. And then I don't think it has any hidden employees yet, but I would be able to see that here. So it would let me know anyone that was excluded because maybe they are currently at overtime, for example, or they're not available to work for the day that I'm looking to fill the shift for, whatever. There's multiple different scenarios that would cause somebody to be excluded, but this would be the other part of the system where you'd be able to see that information.
All right. Um, one more question, and then I think we'll be about done. We had a question about a native when they use TrackTik to punch in for their shift, so they're clocking into their shift. They're unable to see if they're actually at their post or still driving, stuck in traffic. Is there a way to geolocate where the guard is when they punch in?
Yeah, so we actually do have a feature, our geofencing
Yeah.
feature within TrackTik. So basically, what it is it allows you to design an area at your site, like an allowed area. So that would typically be where you want your employee to be. Like they need to be present and on site when they're completing their work. And you can configure that to you can configure it if you want to actually block them. So it will block them from being able to clock in unless they're physically inside of that zone that you've marked out. So that I would say that would be the best solution to prevent people clocking in prematurely or when they're not at the place that they're supposed to be. And of course, it's going to log all of those occurrences in the system too. So if you ever need to go back and have a discussion with anyone, you have the data in the system to back it up.
Perfect. All right. So we had a ton of questions, but we're going to stop questions right now. That's enough for today. We're running out of time. So what we're going to do is there were some questions that we weren't able to answer. We will reach out to you if we weren't able to answer your question, and we'll do some follow-up because there was some questions that were asked that probably require a little bit more discussion and explanation to work through to get you the best answer. So we're going to do that. And for everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Tony. Thanks for answering so many questions and walking through the platform. Robert, that was super, super helpful. And for everyone joining us today, thank you so much. And a quick reminder, after you close Zoom, there will be a survey that pops up. We'd love to hear from you if you liked this webinar and you want to see more webinars like this. Please let us know. Please provide us feedback. We read every one of those survey results, and it directly impacts kind of our plans and priorities for what we do next. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.